Alright class, I'm going to go over some stuff with you. Hopefully you're doing well. I've got set up on my bed over here a still life. It's not the most detailed objects of all time, but it's got enough going on that it'll be interesting to get a representation of it. But before we start drawing that, I want to talk to you about a few important things that I've been noticing in some of your projects. So, I'm going to write them down on my board so you can see what I'm saying. One thing right off the bat I've been noticing that's been missing is, I asked for it but it's maybe not clear to you, is you need to take a picture of your still life and submit it. Take a picture of your still life and submit it with your assignment. Okay? Why? Because if I can't see what you're looking at, it's hard for me to give you feedback. Okay? So that means if you have a assignment with 2 still lifes that you have to draw, then there should be 4 photographs you're turning in. One of the actual still life, like that out there, and then one of the picture, a picture of your drawing for each one. You could do some detail shots if need be, but a lot of times for the scale of your drawings, it's not super necessary. So you're going to want to go ahead and figure out where your eye level is. Look out there. Sit naturally. I'm sitting comfortably with my board, my drawing board. And go ahead, before anything else, and at your eye level, how you're sitting, line it up at your eye level. This is not my eye level, it's the camera level, but I want to show you. If my eyes were right here, just hold it right where your eyes are, and then go ahead and get close. And then just go ahead and snap a picture of it. You want to have that to submit to me. That way I can see the kind of angles and different things that are going on and help you out with it, okay? So do that right away before you go any deeper into the process. That way you don't forget about it. Next step. This is part of that, is you need to look at the requirements. Assignment requirements. Why am I saying that? Look at assignment requirements. Because I've noticed some of you are kind of submitting random things that aren't totally fitting what we've been looking for, what we're talking about. So if it says it's still life, and with at least 3 objects, then you need to have at least 3 objects in the still life. I really need you guys to watch that video about setting up an awesome still life, because some of you are just setting them on the counter and just that's it. It's fine, but it's not going to fulfill the creative spirit of what we're doing. You want to think about how you're placing them, and you want to kind of do, like I said before, frame it and say, okay, this is interesting. What am I seeing here? You could put a piece of cloth over the books or something, but you want it to be a thoughtful process, okay? Especially if you're going to spend some time drawing it. So that's going to be really important for you. Well, another thing that I'm noticing a lot of, and it's understandable because you're early on in this whole process, but you really got to fight against it, is too sketchy. These are called gesture drawings. This is not what we want. I'm noticing a lot of this. Nope. No more gesture drawings. Are these bad drawings? Think about it with me for a second. No, the answer is no. They're not bad drawings. The problem with them is this is the way most people think about drawing. Either they think about it like, I'm going to draw the sun as a symbol, like, here's the sun. That's our symbol system for sun. Or they think, okay, I'm going to draw a tree, and I'm going to draw it really sketchy and get you to feel like it's a tree. And that's fine for if you want to only draw the way you've always drawn, that's fine. But the purpose of this course is to push you a bit further into new concepts and ways of drawing, okay? So we can just go ahead and say it. These ways of drawing, we already know how to do them. We already have symbol drawings. We already know how to be sketchy. What we don't know how to do are these new types of drawing that we're learning, right? We don't know how to do them yet, the yet principle. So I want you to go ahead and say to yourself, all right, I can always go back to that. It's always in my toolbox, but for now, I'm going to just let it go. I'm going to say, all right, for right now, I'm going to trust the process and no more, right? Okay, so no more hasty, sketchy drawings. That means to do that properly, you're going to have to, what are you going to have to do? Slow down. Slow way down. That's going to be hard for you to do because I'm not there to help you do it, but you're going to have to slow way down to be able to spend the time looking and moving your hand, okay? It's hard, and it's a little easier when the environment's in a classroom and everything's set up and we have music playing and there's not a bunch of distractions. But this is the way of the world right now. So you can do it. I believe in you. You have what it takes. You gotta slow down. Next thing, this can be illustrated, is don't turn in your pictures sideways. If you turn in an image like this and it's supposed to be read like this, well, you're not, you say to yourself, we're not reading pictures. Yes, we are. We read them the right way up, right? We can't understand them if they're sideways. So, turn in your pictures right side up. Turn in your pictures right side up for your assignments. So a lot of you are doing this. It's kind of difficult to look at your work if you don't turn it in this way and to use the system to give you feedback. So if you start just flipping them and turning them in the right way, then I will be able to give you more effective feedback. If you keep doing this, then I'm having to cock my head sideways and try to see if you're drawing it right and turn it all around. So turn in your pictures the right side up, okay? Next thing I want you to do, keep your pencil sharp. Difficult to remember to do. You get lost in the process of drawing and you're going and going and going. But if you have a decently sharp tip, that's not one, you're going to be able to get a more accurate line to your pencil. Let me show you just an example right here. Here's the tip of the pencil, you know, it's not super sharp. So keep pencil sharp. That's an okay line. That's an okay line, but if you have a really sharp pencil with a sharp line, you can get more accurate measurements. Okay? So you want to keep it sharp. Some of you are also really pushing down like really hard on your lines to where you're skating on the paper. and you're really going at it. You're really pushing down hard. And you gotta just ease off a little bit. Next up, I just want to say about keeping your lines a little bit lighter, that you really need to, when we're doing this process of measuring the still life, to use a lighter line at first, like little hash marks and light lines. And then once you know that the object is looking accurate and you are happy with the kind of proportions, then you can come in here and really give yourself thicker lines afterwards. Okay, so light lines at first to mark things out and do your measuring and boxing things in. You want to use that lighter line. And then when you're happy with the image, then you can start doing these darker lines. But let me just make it clear. That's a bad illustration. You're not doing shading and values yet. You're not doing a bunch of this stuff. You're doing line drawing still. Contour. Observation. Contour, which is a line. We're not doing value yet. We're going to get to doing value, but we won't do it so messily. We're doing contour lines still, and we're practicing observation. Calling this the sight, see, measure. Also, it's sometimes called sight, see, measure process, or proportional. Proportion. Why is it called that? Because, as our lecture talked about, things are in relationship to each other. So, for example, this bottle, the size of it compared to the width of the bottle itself and the height of it, and then it compared to the other things in the still life. Okay? So, bottle of mouthwash. If I measure it in actuality and say, okay, what do I mean by actuality? I'm actually measuring it right now. The cap is 1. There's 1, 2, 3 caps, and 4. So this part is 3 caps, that's 1 cap. So the whole bottle is 4 caps high. So if I use this proportion, then I know that's what it is, and then I could say, okay, 1 cap, and it's 1.5 caps wide. That's an actual measurement. I didn't use a ruler, but I actually measured it. We're doing visual measurement. It's the same idea, but you're using, like if you ever done this where you have someone's head or something between your fingers and you go, I'm squishing it, beep, 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 I'm squishing the bottle, beep, 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 beep. Well, this is that, I'm squishing the top of the bottle, salt shaker. Same idea, except for we're using measuring with our pencil to do it. This is kind of hard to line up with the camera, so I'm doing my best here, but you can kind of get the idea. I'm holding my arm all the way out from the elbow, if you see, like this, and I'm measuring it like that. And I'm moving my thumb up and down. So you have to be sitting in a way that's feeling comfortable to you. Otherwise, it won't work. If you're trying to go like this and do it, it won't work. You need to be like that, all the way like this, with your arm all the way out. Because this is a fixed distance. It's as if you were a surveyor and you have that, you've seen the guy on the road and he's got the lens, and then there's another guy way out there, he's got a stick he's holding. Well, it's because it's a set height. And this way it's a set distance. An important part of that is you can't have your pencil poking. It has to be as parallel to you as possible, so you can't have it going. You can have to imagine there's like a window in front of you, that picture plane I've been talking about. You can't poke your pencil in or out of it, otherwise it doesn't work. It has to be as parallel as possible. So you have it like that, you have your arm out, and then you move your thumb up and down on it to sight the distance, the visual height. Let's do it real quick. I'm doing it with the salt shaker, but you're not able to see it because I'm at a different angle than you. There you go. Salt shaker. That's the height of it. That's how we would be able to tell how high it is. Now, if I know it's this tall, there you go. This is not what I'm going to draw on the paper. I'm not going to take this and go 1 to 1. Okay. Can you see this? Yep. 1 to 1. Here's my paper. All right. There's the salt shaker. This is how tall I'm going to make the salt shaker. I did 2 check marks. You can't see them very well because the screen. So I said, yep, I measured that distance on my pencil. Now I marked it on the paper. You see what I just did? I said, oh, here it is. There's the height of the salt shaker visually. Now I'm just going to put it on the paper like that. That is not what we're doing. No. Not 1 to 1. No. Not 1 to 1. There is part of this that's correct. What is correct? Think about it for a minute. If you're not understanding this at all right now, I want you to go back to the lecture and review the steps so you can understand what we're talking about, okay? So literally pause the video, go back to the lecture, and review those steps if it's not making sense to you, okay? Really, I mean it, actually do it. Okay, I'm presuming if you're still with me, then you're understanding the idea of it at least somewhat, okay? And that you're not needing to review that. So, what about that was right that we just did? The thing that was right is the elbow is locked. The arm is all the way out. The pencil is parallel. We got the top of the pencil to the top of the salt shaker. We moved our finger to the bottom of the salt shaker. All of that is right. The part that's not right is taking this measurement, this visual measurement, and deciding that's what I'm going to put on my page and just make it all 1 to 1. Technically could work, kind of, but it's missing a very important idea, which is that this unit of measurement, visually, there's an actual measurement of the salt shaker. This is the visual measurement. This has to relate to a size on your paper. Ah, and you're thinking to yourself at this point, what does he mean? What do I mean? I'm talking about that part of the called the basic unit of measurement. It relates to a size that you decide on the paper. Now, if that's my basic unit of measurement, the salt shaker, 1 to 1, then I get to pick how big that one is on the paper. Video's lagging a little bit. Okay. I could make it this big, and it would be a tiny little drawing, right? I could make it this big, and I could make it that big, and the drawing would be pretty large. I could make it this big, and the drawing would be very large. It actually doesn't really matter in the sense of how the system works. It matters more in terms of once you set that basic unit of measurement, everything has to be compared to it. And it needs to be in relationship to the page that you're using. So I'm using 11 by 17 paper so you can see it better in the video. You should be using your 18 by 24 paper. I have to use a smaller size, otherwise you can't see it in the drawing. You can't see the drawing in the video. So if it wants to be that big, what I mean by wants, if it needs to be a certain size that matches your paper, then how do you decide? Well, you kind of go like this. You go, one salt shaker is about how many of the entire composition? One, measuring from the edge of the book. You can't see from my perspective because of the video is at a different angle. The camera is at an angle from me. So that would be one. And then you go 2, 3, 4. That would be 4.5 would be the size I would need to be able to fit on my page, right? 4.5 of my basic unit of measurement. So if I made my unit of measurement this big, I would only be able to get 1, 2, 3 on here. If I make it this big, I would get 1, 2, 3, 4.5 barely. So I'm going to want to, on my paper, the salt shaker is going to need to be around that big. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Nope, a little bigger. You get the idea though. I'm saying if I make it about that big, yep, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So it'll have a little white space around the whole image. This is further down the line, but I want to make this really clear right off the bat because, I mean further down the line in the terms of the steps. I want to make this clear right off the bat because it's a big mistake people start making right away, which is not using the basic unit of measurement correctly, thinking that it's either 1-to-1 and then you measure it and that's what you put on your page, or not understanding that it's not an actual measurement but it's a visual measurement. I want to make sure these things are really clear in the demonstration. Okay, this is going to be the end of part 1, and I want you to take this feedback for general feedback from all these things I said to you, like slowing down, not being hasty, using the basic unit of measurement correctly, loading things the right direction, all of this stuff. Just take the feedback, look at your work and see, okay, does this apply to me? If it does, then just start to adjust it. Don't, if you're drawing really hard with your pencil, then just ease up on the pressure. Do these things. You can make these changes bit by bit, but just take the feedback. Don't beat yourself up. Don't get all negative about it and feel like I'm trying to attack you. Not at all. I'm just trying to help you grow. It's an intense process to learn how to draw, but you're doing really well at it. I've been seeing your work. Take the feedback on and then just re-up on it and just say, okay, I'm here to learn how to draw. I'm going to do it. I can do it. I've got what it takes. I'm going to take the feedback, not get negative about myself or my drawings or what I'm doing, but just take it on and learn from it, okay? This is the end of part 1. I'm going to post a part 2 video, which will be us going through the process exactly like the slideshow, where we start with the cross on the paper, finding a basic unit of measurement, boxing the whole thing out like a crate that the whole thing would fit into, and go through those steps. That will be part 2, okay? But this part 1 is just common issues that we've been having as a class, as well as common problems that everyone has learning to draw in general. You'll notice on a lot of your feedback I've been saying slow, 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 slow down. Well, it's because I have to say it if you're in person or if you're online. It just is part of learning to draw. People want to get done and go, all right, I got to get done. Go from point A to B, get sketchy. It's really hard to slow your mind down. You got to get into that almost like a Zen state. Not that I necessarily am subscribed to Zen, but the idea of flow is what they actually call it, where you get into psychologically they call it flow, where you get into a state where you're just in the moment. And you're just moving your hand and looking and slowing down. And I'm talking very slowly. You're really trying not to get into language. You're trying to get into the part of your brain that just sees. And just slow down. Maybe it'll be a nice relaxing thing for you during this crazy time of COVID. I hope so. So this takes us through these things, part 1. Visit me on part 2 to go through the steps. I will see you guys in the next video, and I'm looking forward to interacting with you online. Make sure you're reaching out if you need help using Pronto, posting in the boards, doing all that stuff. I've been giving you guys announcements and things and prontoing, so if you need help, make sure you're reaching out, you're responding, and posting pictures if you're in progress having problems. Okay, take care everyone. I'll see you in part 2.